I know. Shout out to New York. Shout out to a place like Chicago too. New York high schools. New York high school students is forced into remote learning. Into remote learning as 2,000 migrants shelter at their doggone schools. I want y'all to understand. They can't go to school because the city is using the schools for shelter. Your child, your children cannot be a part of their activities because they're using the schools for shelter. Now, other times the way we may use the school for shelters is typically natural disasters. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and stuff. Those are pretty like the only time that we use schools for shelters. But that means that the whole community is not going to school. Schools is closed, like there is no school. Well, schools ain't closed. Schools open. Schools open. It's just a certain schools who is playing shelters. Those students can't go to school and they have to learn at the crib. Shout out to Sunjay for the $10 super chat. She said on the road to NYC. Say just showing love. Pastor, I appreciate that right there. Showing up, dude. Here we go.
News alert out of New York City. Students are being forced to learn online as nearly 2,000 migrants move into their school.
Nate Foy is live in Brooklyn with the latest with what's going on. Nate, what can you tell us about this?
Well, good morning. I can tell you that a couple state assemblymen and concerned parents just spoke moments ago, and they are very upset that the students at this school, 3,600 students, are learning remotely today because of those nearly 2,000 migrants that moved in last night at the city.
So 3,600 students is a part of the remote learning. Got to be remote learning because almost 2,000 finna move in for shelter.
Direction. Those migrants, because the weather is a bit better today than it was last night, have since been moved back to their tent facility. That happened at 4:30 this morning, but the impact continues for the students today. They're learning remotely. All sports practices have been canceled, and we just heard from concerned parents saying that some teachers aren't even showing up for the remote learning sessions. So they say that this really is not a situation that they're comfortable with. But take a look at this video.
You mean to tell me the teachers ain't showing up to do the job? The teachers not showing up to do the job, although the teachers is at home. The teachers is at the crib because it ain't no school, like they don't need to be at the schoolhouse. And they still not showing up for work while at home? Go ahead.
As you see those 2,000 migrants arrive here last night, again, it was because of bad weather threatening their nearby tent facility. The school notified parents of the students. The city writing, quote, "The health and safety of migrants in our care is always a top priority, which is why we are currently overseeing the relocation of 1,900 guests from the Humanitarian Emergency Response and Relief Center at Floyd Bennett Field."
Do y'all understand that they've removed these people because the weather got bad because they intense? All of the homeless, like they never get removed from where they at to be put in a building indoors for safety reasons. They don't do that with the homeless, but they do it for their 1,900 guests. That's what's up.
That relocation is forcing students to again learn at home, a proven disaster for learning, as we saw during COVID. Florida Governor and
A disaster for learning. Learning at home for kids. Remote learning is a disaster, according to what he just said.
presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis spoke about this last night. Listen here.
The government is commandeering the school to house illegal aliens.
So the migrants now are back at Floyd Bennett Field, but many are wondering for how long. Of course, we're in the middle of winter here in New York City. We just had a nor'easter over the weekend, and harsh conditions are expected, throughout the winter. So people are concerned that this could happen again, not only at this school, but in other districts across New York, which is why these two assemblymen who are not part of this district are here speaking today, and they say that they're drafting legislation to prevent the city from housing migrants in active schools. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says the city is full. Of course, you guys are running into similar problems in Chicago, and the mayor's office says that they're considering all options here. We'll send it back to you.
All right.
All because all this started because the doggone mayor said that we is a sanctuary city and y'all can come on around here. Well, this is an election year. Do not forget that. This is an election year. I think that this is the year that we vote mayors in and out. Yeah. So here, if you is upset about the situation when it comes down to your kids, you got to do your due diligence when it's time to vote. Your vote counts. Do not forget that. Moving right along, I'm not even much going to hold.